Welcome to Finding Your Worth From Within, the podcast where I'm going to be helping you up-level your life, find your true self, and ignite the best version of you. I'm your host, Sana, your go-to self-worth mentor, facilitating hundreds of women to unlock your self-belief, master your emotions, and take back control of negative thoughts. We're going to be covering everything self-worth for South Asian women, how to ditch your self-doubt, kick other people's judgment to the curb, and learn how to finally use your voice clearly and with confidence. With the practical tools and spiritual teachings that I give you in this podcast, don't be surprised when this magic begins to massively elevate your life. So whether you're going for a walk, driving home, or listening with a cup of coffee, let's get stuck in. Hey, welcome back to your day 4 of 5 days of podcasts. So I have just jumped off a live with a client where we were sharing how blending spirituality and religion really skyrocketed her true confidence. And I knew that I wanted to bring that conversation over here on the podcast for you podders, because I've got so many clients that come to me with this inner conflict, and it was something that I went through as well. So I really wanted to bring it to the podcast as an episode because I know you are also going to resonate. So like I said, this is something I struggled with. So today we are going to touch on, can you be religious and spiritual? Now, like I said, this is something I also struggled with. The more I learned into my intuition, the more I learned how to tune into people's energy, the more I could read people, the more I questioned, is this right? Because there were so many people that say intuition, psychism, Reiki, etc., all of that doesn't have a place in Sikhi. So my religion is Sikhi and I follow that. And many people say that the only thing you need is Waheguru. You should only say Waheguru's name and you have to follow Gurbani. So for me, there was a little bit of a conflict that, hang on, is this right then? Because I'm here with my crystals, setting my incense off, reading people's energy, being intuitive. So where does that fit with my religion? Now, there's also a secondary layer to this attached, because being a South Asian culture, anything that isn't understood is frowned upon. So in our culture, many of you know that any sort of intuition or psychism is not always well received. So I had that layer of resistance working for me as well. Now, I actually hid how spiritual I was from family and friends for a very long time, even before I leaned into and kind of stumbled upon my intuition, if you want to say. I was always spiritual, but I didn't always own it, didn't always give it space. And this is the same for my client as well that I've just got off the live with, Mandeep. I'm going to share that live in the show notes. I'll share a link to it so you can go and listen to that as well and listen to her perspective and the way she worked through it. But for me, when I understood what I could do and when I understood how I could read into people's energy and read them, I wasn't sure how it fit in with my religious and cultural beliefs. And I remember I didn't really out myself very much, and it took me quite a while to actually come out and say this is what I can do. And I remember speaking to a friend, because my perspective was, if God has given me these abilities, then surely they're for me to use. If Waheguru has given me these abilities to help women in the way I do, then how is that bad? How can that not be right? I am a child of God, and God has given me the ability to read other people's energy, to help them find their confidence and let go of all of the things that are holding them back. So how is that not right? Like, surely that's good. So that's the perspective I led with. And I remember speaking to a friend of mine, and he's quite religious and he's into his Sikhi. And I asked him, I said, what are your thoughts on this? Because this is what I can do and this is what I do with clients. And I will never forget his response. He said, if you're not hurting anyone, if you're not changing anybody else's decisions based on what you're feeling in their energy, and you're not altering their karma for the bad, then I don't see what you're doing is bad. Like, regardless of what anybody else wants to say, because you're helping them. And actually, a point on that is, I don't tell anybody what to do. I never tell a client that, oh my God, I can feel this. You have to make this decision. That's not what I do. As a coach, I will always get the client to make their own decision by asking questions. How does that make you feel? Okay, well, this is what's coming up for me. And then the client's like, oh my God, actually, that's so right. I just haven't given that feeling any space. So if I wasn't hurting anyone, and if I wasn't changing anybody's decisions based on just what I felt, and I wasn't changing their karma for the bad, then how is this wrong? And I've truly cemented that belief in myself that actually, Waheguru has given me these abilities. I love my religion, I love my spirituality, and I'm not hurting anyone. And over the years, I've learned a lot about spirituality, and I have deepened my understanding of Sikh teachings as well. And throughout that, I've noted so many synchronicities. There's so many synchronicities. So why is it that we feel that we have to be one or the other? I know so many people feel they have to be one or the other. Perhaps they're Gursikh, so they feel they can't look into spirituality. Or perhaps they are very spiritual, so aren't sure where religion lies. Now, when I talk about synchronicities, just to name a few, like in Sikhi, we talk about Daswand, which is giving 10% of your earnings. Now, in spirituality, there's this as well. You know, 10% to charity or 10% of service. Seva in Sikhi is huge. Being of service in spirituality is huge. Being of service, helping people. In Sikhi, we have so much kirtan. Now, that's meditation. When I meditate, I actually meditate to kirtan sometimes because it's just beautiful. The frequency of kirtan is like really high, and it is so aligned to the frequency of some like meditative music. And then we talk about in Sikhi being in Chartikala, which translates to vibrating at a really high frequency. So with all these synchronicities, the more I learn, I was like, hang on, the universe is God. God is the universe. They are the same thing. And that's now what I do. I've blended both for myself. I don't choose one or the other. My clients don't choose one or the other because they are aligned to the same thought process as me as well. So the universe is Waheguru. Waheguru is the universe, and they are one. So when I talk about on a daily basis the universe, I will refer to it as the universe. Like I'm like, oh, the universe gave me this, or this happened, blah, blah, blah. But when I stop and pray, I will pray to God. I will pray to Waheguru. Because both are a higher power. When you think of the universe, you think of an energy, a higher power. When you think of Waheguru, it's the same. I had a client who, when she came to me, she had actually stopped praying and stopped listening to Bart because she'd made some mistakes in her life. And she said, I don't feel like I'm deserving or worthy of going to the Gurdwara, of praying, of listening to Bart. And I was like, no. You are God's child. You are Waheguru's child. You are worthy. The Waheguru, God doesn't turn their back on you. That doesn't happen. If you're God's child, God does not turn their back on you. You are worthy. You are deserving of leaning into your Sikhi, leaning into your spirituality, of receiving all these things. And it is really beautiful now because she listens to her Bart. She listens to her Kirtan. She has started praying again. And it's so beautiful watching her journey because it's all about having faith and creating your own faith. So for me, my faith is I lean into, like I said, the universe, God. My dad has passed away, so he, I feel, is a big angel for me there and a guide. And the same with my client. The minute she stopped thinking of spirituality versus religion, the minute she blended them, she actually was able to stop hiding who she truly was, stop hiding that spiritual side of her. She blended them and she's brought them forward, and she's taking up so much more space in herself now because she truly is confident in herself, confident in her beliefs, and she doesn't hide that side of her. Just doing that alone gives you more self-belief because you begin to trust in yourself. You begin to trust your decisions. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode because it is something that's actually really close to my heart and something that I have gone through, and I know so many of you have gone through. If it's something that you are having an inner conflict with at the minute, please do drop me a DM, drop me a message, drop me an email. I would love to hear where you're at and what's going on with you at the moment. Thanks for listening. Speak soon. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Finding Your Worth from Within. If today's message resonated with you, it would mean the world to me if you could follow, rate, and leave a review. Sharing the podcast with someone that you feel may benefit is the best way to help it grow and spread this important message. To stay connected between episodes, come hang out with me on Instagram @Mentoring. Can't wait to see you there.